for Jesse Eubanks.
So, 1881, this guy named Steve Holcomb converts to Christianity. He has this powerful encounter with Christ, and it totally changes everything about how he does life and who he is, and it creates this big buzz around Louisville. And the whole reason is that Steve Holcomb was a riverboat gambler. He was known around Louisville for being a guy that was a part of that scene, and he converts to Christianity. So over the next several years, what happens is that Steve Holcomb begins to drastically change, and he begins to leave a lot of that world behind, and his addictions behind, and all the sin that had permeated his life behind. But he doesn't leave his friends behind. Instead, what he does is in 1888, he starts the Union Gospel Mission. And the Union Gospel Mission existed to reach out to these people, his friends, these people that were addicted to gambling and to sex and part of prostitution and all of these various things that were just enslaving people. And Steve Holcomb's mission that he started all the way back in 1888 is something that we still carry on today. Over 125 years later, here we are, we're still doing that same thing, desiring to reach the homeless and the hurting with the gospel of Jesus Christ, desiring to see both the physical and spiritual change that people need in their lives. We don't separate those two things. We just see those things absolutely interconnected. When I was 19, I moved out to Oakland, California right after graduating from high school, and I lived in community with other Christians, and we had moved out there to learn how to better love our neighbors and better love God. And God used that experience of living in inner city Oakland and living in community and building relationships that just seemed so strange and foreign to me, being, a city guy from Louisville, Kentucky. And it forever changed the trajectory of my life. Here I am all these years later now living in urban Louisville and working in a homeless shelter, something that I would have never predicted happening at 19 years old. But God used that single experience to totally change the rest of my life. It eventually led me to Jeff Street, where I've been honored to be able to serve and be a part of the team there as we seek just to love folks, to meet them, to surround them as holistically as possible with the gospel, with mentoring and counseling and resources and job training and just digging in and doing life with folks. Ultimately, what happened is that we started the Hope for Louisville program back in 2005, and I was able to be a part of that and have been a part of that in the years since. And that brings us to why Erika is sitting on stage with me. Erika Maynard is an intern at EKU and served with us this last summer on our Hope for Louisville program. And so here's what we kind of thought we would do. Like, Erika and I were like, well, let's just get together and have a conversation, and we'll let everybody else eavesdrop on our conversation. So you guys get to kind of listen in just as we chat. So, hi, Erika.
Hi, Jesse.
How you doing?
I'm doing great.
Good, good. Are you enjoying Focus?
I am really enjoying Focus.
Good, good. I'm glad to hear that. Did you get rained on today?
Actually, I didn't. I was inside.
Excellent.
Practicing this.
Oh, that's right. Okay, so let's just move along. So here's my question for you. There's a lot of opportunities out there for you to have been involved in a lot of different things, a lot of really wonderful mission opportunities, a lot of areas that you could have served in, but ultimately you really felt like God led you to Jeff Street and to serve with the Hope program. Talk to me about why.
I definitely had a desire to learn how to live out the gospel in both word and, like you were talking about, meeting physical needs and coming with the word. And honestly, I wanted to do that in the context of a biblical community and in a local church, and Hope was just a practical way for me to do that.
And all summer long I saw you building relationships with lots of different kinds of folks. Like, you're a true extrovert. Like, it's awesome to watch you just get to know folks. And so watching you build all of these relationships, all these things that you had anticipated before you came and that you prayed for, I would just love to hear about one of those relationships that you had built.
Yeah, definitely. There was a lady named Brooke who had frequented our addiction center. Her and her boyfriend are both homeless, and one day when I first met them, they told me a story about just actually their daily lives of living as a homeless person in Louisville, and they would talk to me about sleeping on the street and how hard it was to sleep on concrete, and just fearing for your safety every night as you go to bed. And over the summer, we began to just build a really deep friendship, and she allowed me to speak into her life, and we would just talk about her relationship with God, and by the end of the summer, she told me that she thought of me as a daughter, and it's just been a very precious relationship to me.
And all these things that you experienced, I know that you were never in it on your own. We place a high value on this thing that we call Christian community. Can you talk to us about that, just about the role of Christian community in your life and having these men and women surrounding you at all times?
Mm-hmm. Actually, the Christian community component of the HOPE program is probably the most rewarding but challenging thing. We spend every waking moment together from 7 a.m. till 10 p.m., working together, eating together, reaching out in our community together, and while that's a great opportunity for us to encourage each other and to love each other and to point each other to Christ, we're also with each other every waking moment with all of our frustrations and people leaving dirty dishes in the sink and all of that stuff. But in the HOPE program and in Christian community in general, we're able to see a person for who they are with no masks. And so we see their sin, and we see, but we also see God working through them. And so we just need to have grace with each other, and because of the love of Christ, we are able to forgive each other and just love each other.
Yeah, like the honeymoon ends and there's no more sales pitch.
Yeah,
it's like you're really doing life together. Yeah, which is an awesome thing, because we all long for that, those kinds of friendships where we don't have to convince each other who we are. So, I've been thinking a lot lately on this thing of like, how do we decide in life, like moment by moment, why we're doing this or this? You know, why do I choose X or why do I choose Y? Why do I choose this person, or to be involved with this or this? And here's kind of what I've been thinking is that moment by moment, the question we're really asking ourselves all the time is it worth it? Like, that's the question that just keeps coming up time and again. Right now, is it worth it? Is it worth it to do this, or is it worth it to do this? So my question that I have to ask you is, as you think about your experience with HOPE, is it worth it?
It's definitely worth it, because Christ is worth it. And I think that if you are taking any opportunity in a Christ-centered approach, that it will be worth it, because to live is Christ and to die is gain, honestly. And when you lose your life, you find it in Christ. And HOPE is just another opportunity to do that. And I really was able to find my identity in Christ through the experiences that I had.
Yeah, that's awesome. So folks that are considering this, as they listen to you talk and they're thinking about, can I even be involved in that? Do I have, what it takes, whatever that means? What advice would you have for them?
I would say that there's definitely a need for people to come to Louisville, because there are homeless and hurting in Louisville, and they are in need of reconciliation with God. And as believers, we are charged with sharing the gospel of reconciliation with them. And so they need messengers. And it's easy as building relationships with them and listening to them and just being a genuine friend. And so I would say, pray about that, seek wisdom, and do it. If that works.
Yeah, that's awesome. So the story of the Good Samaritan, the big thing that we learn is that Christ shows us what it means to be a true neighbor, to really love somebody else. And of course, in the story, we have two folks that pass by the man that's been injured and then left for dead, probably because they got other things going on. It was too dangerous, or they've got a family they got to get home to, or hey, I'll go call for help, or whatever the case may be. But in the story, the Samaritan is the one who chooses to stop to help the injured man. And then we're told to go and do likewise. Like, that's it. Like, that's the definition of a good and great neighbor, is to put somebody else's needs above your own and to have compassion on someone that's in need. The reason that Eric and I are sitting up here is that this is an invitation for you all to consider becoming a part of our community, to come and spend a year with us, or come and spend a summer with us, to have compassion on our friends that are in places of need, to build relationships with people that are homeless and hurting, to serve them, to be a part of a local, solid church, to do biblical community with other Christians, and ultimately to have just a more rich, profound, life-changing experience in your faith with Christ. Tonight, after the service, after your campus time, between 10:15 and 10:45, we're going to be hanging out in the back of the worship center here. And it's an invitation for anyone that wants to come and just learn more about this experience and about this program. You're not committing to anything. Just come, just hang out with us. Our alumni are going to be there. Our current team members are going to be there. And we're just going to hang around and talk. We'd love to answer questions and just spend time talking with folks. So it's a true joy and an honor to be able to come and to worship with everyone here. And I know so many of you have come and served at Jeff Street, and it is just fantastic year after year to come here and to recognize so many faces. And we love you all, and we appreciate you all, and God bless you guys.